I do kind of want to talk about Sombrero Gate just because I think it's fun that the president of the United States is trolling dollar store Obama and shut down Schumer.
What's great is they're going to scream that it's racist, and I guarantee
they already are.
But I guarantee that actual Hispanics, like especially Mexican Americans, will find it extremely funny. Because it's the same thing with like Speedy Gonzalez, where like they would all complain that that's racist, and actual Mexicans love Speedy Gonzalez. Like Mexican Americans generally really like Mexican themed like humor and cultural stuff.
So we got it. I totally agree. Even with the taco bowl.
Yeah. The best taco bowls.
We love Hispanics. Let me see here. Do we actually have the? Okay, I think this is 85.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
So this is what's great. So Hakeem Jeffries comes out and it was like, you can't do this to me. Like, you're not going to get me with this bigoted, which it's not bigoted, guys. He's making a point that you want to keep healthcare for illegals, as we define them, Tim, not as CNN defines them. Anyways, so he's making a point about who you're, and obviously many illegals come from south of the border. So so he gets all upset about this. So Trump doubles down and posts another one. Play cut 95, and you probably should ride that dump button while we do it.
Will get you nowhere. We are fighting to protect the health care of the American people in the face of an unprecedented Republican assault.
Yeah. So Trump will not be cowed. He will not back down.
Oh, he's investing in the future. These are clearly targeted at younger millennials, Gen Z. And I think about who would be most offended by these things, and it's your aging MSNBC viewer. I think
exactly.
Younger people are just laughing, being like, it's good to have fun,
Yeah, that's such a good point, though. It like if you had to do a psychographic of who would be most offended by this, it's definitely probably not like Hispanics.
They're like offended by anything. They've really eroded their ability to find things funny. That's why like all the late night shows are so unfunny, or their stand-up comics are so unfunny. Like it's actually the sense of humor is atrophied because they can't handle transgression. So we get the kind of seal clapping humor where they're just like, oh, what about that Trump? He's such a fascist.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
You're not wrong. And I actually, I said this to a Fox reporter. They were, because at some point it became like Colvett versus Kimmel, like, during the height of that story. And obviously Kimmel's still on air, but I told the Fox reporter, I was like, listen, I don't want him off the air. I don't want to make a martyr of him.
Yeah.
Let him, go the way that he should on his own accord by not being funny and by the left just completely losing their sense of humor.
Not to mention his ratings are.
That's what I mean. Yes.
With all due respect to the older generation, that's who his audience is. He gets, I think in August, average was 129,000 in the key demo. And you got to think about how much his show costs. It's probably 10. I think Colbert was 100 million a year. Jimmy Kimmel's got 100 staffers or over how much. I got to tell you guys, the numbers. 129,000 in the key demo for your show is not going to cover $100 million.
No, it's not. It's not. And by the way, like this show does better in that demo.
Oh, you could post a picture of a cat and do better in the demo.
Yeah. But like that's what I'm saying. Like let him just he's gonna get Colbert. They're gonna realize the numbers don't add up. And in many ways, when Nexstar and Sinclair took him off the air, it was kind of pushing against an open door, right? Yeah. Like they were already. There's a lot of pressure within the ABC, brass because the show's too expensive and because the ratings are terrible. And if you're coming into this kind of controversy, that's not good either. I don't know.
I love how they pretend it's Trump's fault all of this is happening. Like Colbert got canceled because of Trump.
Oh yeah, anti-free speech.
Yeah, I thought it was the $40 million loss per year.
Well, and all the lawsuits. But
what's funny is big picture, they're right, because Trump caused them to make a terrible show nobody wanted to watch.
That's true.
Good job, everyone.
I don't want to black pill everybody. Like in my heart, I hope there's a way out of this that doesn't lead to violence. I really do. I really do. I'm not saying you're ever going to be in a position, Tim, where you can go out and just go to the mall. Maybe you already do that. I don't know, but I'm hoping that for the sake of the country, that this doesn't have to end the way that it very well could. Right? Let's go ahead and play cut 57.
I want to ask you about this Rutgers report.
Good morning.
On the Network Contagion Research Center. This is their conclusion, okay? Users online are increasingly associating the memification of Luigi Mangione with calls for political violence against Elon Musk, President Trump, and others, reflecting the growing cyber-social presence of assassination culture. And Aisha, you have some findings that they have here on justification.
It's alarming, and I want to put this up here. This is a justification for murder of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And you'll see here, they found that when it came to the left of center, 50% thought that it was justified to murder Elon Musk, 56% for President Trump.
Jeez. Houston, we have a problem.
There's a way out. There is a generational challenge. I would tell everybody have as many kids as possible because that is the way out, which means there's some speed bumps for the next 20 years, maybe even 30 or 40. But what we're looking at is the polarization of moral worldview. Clearly, the right doesn't want to kill people. The left feels it's justified in the majority. But if you actually break those polls down, what you'll find is that older liberals do not want to kill people either. Mm-hmm. The bulk of that bloodlust comes from the younger millennial and Gen Z liberals. Now, there is some light at the end of the tunnel in that, as disturbing as this may be, liberals for the longest time are either through birth control, abortion, or gender-affirming care, they call it, creating a generation that cannot have kids, and they're having less kids themselves. We are seeing this trend towards the right. Gen Z is trending rightward. And it's not just because we are winning culturally through the battle of ideas, but also because conservatives just have kids. So you are going to have this large cohort over the next 10, 20, or 30 years as they move into industry and politics that are very violent. However, they're not having kids themselves, which means it's a wave that we will get through maybe 20 or 30 years from now.
Blake, why don't you talk about, because I could do it, but I actually just did this on his show. Talk about one, the having family thing, because I know you have a family, Tim, and that's changed you dramatically. But what Charlie thought about that, but also he was proposing like a moonshot to get young people to buy into America.
Yeah, it's funny to ask me about this because, of course, I'm horrible on this front. But no,
but you were there for it.
He was just very aware that when you have atomized people like individuals whose main point of existence with the world is essentially online because they don't have an IRL, as you'd call it, because they don't have a family and they don't have the social networks that a family necessarily creates. That brings down the country. It's as you would say, the most conservatizing events in your life, the marriage, mating, mortgage thing. Those are all things, they increase your stake in society and they increase your connections to society. Mm-hmm. When you own a home, you're way more likely to know your neighbors, to interact with them. When you have kids, it's not merely having kids that you care about the future of, but kids naturally create networks with other people. They go to school. They have friends.
I can say that.
They have social
Soccer
activities.
practice.
Your friends.
School.
Parents will always tell you who are your friends. Very typically, just the parents of your children's friends.
Yeah, it's true.
And I've seen it with my parents where they'll cycle through. My younger siblings would get into different activities, and suddenly, there's this new friend of our families because their kid played basketball with my sister. That sort of thing, and all of these are what are creating your tethers to the rest of society, and by extension, your ability to care about society, your ability to care about America.
Man,
we enrich that by having more families with more kids.
When you have a kid, and Tim, I don't know, you're pretty new to this game. I have 3. But when you have kids, all of a sudden it changes the way you look at content that you see on the streaming platforms or whatever. It changes the way you look at laws or homelessness. It changes the way you look at how we take care of public parks, smelling weed in public places. It starts forcing you to think about the world in a different way.
I agree with you. I think I'm a little different in that I've never liked the smell of weed in public places.
Nor have I. Yeah. But, it's one of those things, by the way, Charlie was super anti-weed, and he would take so much, gruff for it. because a lot of people are sort of libertarian about it.
Right. I'm a bit libertarian on it, but I think the answer is culture. So we're talking about if you have kids and you instill your children with your values, laws don't matter. Laws are for when your society has no trust and your morals have broken. Yeah, and that's a terrifying thought, that we have to explain to some people why not to murder. But if everybody had been instilled with proper values, it wouldn't matter.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is the interesting thing about, say, the Ten Commandments, for instance, thou shalt not murder. If everyone in this country had the same morals of Charlie Kirk, you would need no police.
You would need nothing.
In fact, you wouldn't even need a cup of sugar, because you could knock on his door and he'd lend it to you without a thought.
Yep.